There's a moment that happens in millions of homes every year that nobody talks about from the right angle. A bedroom door that was always open is suddenly closed. A backpack that used to land on the kitchen floor every afternoon doesn't appear. A voice that filled the hallway for 18 years or 22 years goes quiet. The house still looks the same, but something is unmistakably different. You feel it, your partner feels it, and your dog, who has no idea what a college acceptance letter means or what a lease agreement is or what it means for someone to start their own life, your dog feels it too, in their own way, in the only language available to them. And what they experience is more specific, more neurologically real, and more worth understanding than most people ever realize. This is not a video about empty nest syndrome for humans. It's about what's happening on the other side of the room, in the one member of the family who never saw it coming and has no framework to make sense of it. To understand what a dog experiences when an adult child leaves, you have to start with how dogs actually know the people they love. Not the way we know them, through conversation, shared history, photographs, but through something far more ancient and precise: scent. Brain imaging studies at Emory University presented dogs with 5 different scents while scanning their brains: a familiar human scent, an unfamiliar human, a familiar dog, an unfamiliar dog, and the dog's own scent. The olfactory processing areas of the brain responded to all 5 equally, but one specific region, the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward center, associated with positive anticipation and emotional connection, responded to only one of them: the familiar human. Not the other dog they lived with, not even a stranger who smelled like a person, the person they knew. What makes this remarkable is that the familiar human wasn't even present in the room. The dog's brain was responding to a trace, a cotton swab carrying a scent, and that trace alone was enough to activate the same neural circuitry associated with love and reward. Their brain recognized the person. It lit up for them, in their absence. Now hold that image, because dogs can also tell, with some precision, how long someone has been gone by the fading intensity of their scent. A fresh scent means a recent presence. A fading scent means time has passed. And a scent that was everywhere, in the bedroom, on the couch, woven into the blankets and the door frames and the air of the entire house, that slowly, day by day, becomes quieter, then quieter still, until it becomes the ghost of someone who used to be here. Your dog doesn't know that your child moved out. They know that someone they love is gone, and that their scent is disappearing, and that no amount of waiting at the door has brought them back. Dogs build their understanding of safety around the specific people in their household, not people in general, these people, this routine, this particular configuration of who comes home when, who feeds them, who plays with them on Saturday mornings, who lets them onto the bed at night. Your adult child, if they grew up in the same house as the dog, was part of that map from the very beginning. Perhaps they were the primary playmate, the one whose energy level matched the dog's most naturally, the one who ran with them in the yard, who made the most noise, who came home with the most interesting smells from the outside world. The dog built an attachment model around that person, just as they built one around you. Possibly a different kind of attachment, less about security, more about stimulation and play, but an attachment nonetheless, encoded in years of daily contact. When that person leaves suddenly, the dog doesn't experience a clean absence. They experience a disruption. The routine fractures. The energy of the house drops. The person's bedroom, which previously smelled like them and had an open door, is now closed and going quiet. Everything the dog learned about how this household works is slightly off, and unlike us, they cannot explain this discrepancy to themselves. They can only feel it. The behavioral signs that follow are not dramatic, usually. That's part of why they go unnoticed. You're already dealing with your own grief, the strangeness of the quieter house, the adjustment to a new phase. The
The dog's response tends to be quieter than that, more of a slow deflation than a visible crisis. Some dogs begin spending time near the closed bedroom door. They aren't sitting there dramatically. They're doing what dogs do when something confusing happens in their environment: investigating, returning, checking again. The scent is strongest there. The person was most recently there. Canine logic says if they're going to come back, the door is where that information will appear first. Some dogs become less interested in play, not all at once, but over days and weeks. The person who was their primary play partner is gone, and the style of interaction that filled that role is no longer available. They may still play with you, but with less intensity. The game isn't quite the same without the person who played it a certain way. Some dogs become clingier with the humans who remain, following more closely, seeking more contact, being more insistent about proximity. This is not manipulation. This is an attachment system responding to a perceived loss by tightening its grip on what remains. When one anchor disappears, you hold harder to the others. The dog is doing exactly what a secure attachment system is designed to do under conditions of loss. And some dogs, especially those who were deeply bonded with the person who left, or who are generally more anxious by temperament, show more pronounced changes: reduced appetite, disrupted sleep, less interest in the world outside. These are not performance, they are the behavioral expression of a genuinely altered emotional state. There's also something happening that is even more subtle and that almost never gets discussed. When your adult child leaves, you change too. Your emotional state shifts. The stress and grief of the empty nest, even when it's accompanied by pride and happiness, registers in your body chemistry. Your cortisol levels rise. Your daily patterns change. The energy of the house changes in ways that are invisible to human observation, but are not invisible to a dog. We've looked at this in other videos, the research showing that dogs can literally smell human stress, and that exposure to stressed human scent shifts their own emotional state towards something more anxious and pessimistic. Your dog is not just grieving a member of the household, they are living inside your grief, absorbing its chemistry, reading it in the altered way you move through the house, in the quieter meals, in the moments when you walk past the closed bedroom door and your body does something small and involuntary that the dog notices and catalogs. The empty nest for the dog is a whole household event, not just the absence of one person, a change in the entire emotional atmosphere they depend on to feel safe.
The good news, and there is genuine good news here, is that dogs are resilient, and that specific, intentional steps make a real difference in how quickly and comfortably they find their footing. The most important thing you can do starts before the move-out day, if possible, gradually shifting the primary care responsibilities, walks, meals, play, from the person who is leaving to other household members gives the dog time to develop new patterns of engagement before the anchor disappears. It doesn't eliminate the disruption, but it makes the adjustment less abrupt. After the child leaves, protecting the dog's routine is genuinely important. Keeping walks at consistent times, maintaining feeding schedules, holding on to the rituals that tell the dog the day is predictable, these things communicate what your dog most needs to hear. The world still works. The fundamentals haven't changed. You are still here. Extra physical activity helps too, not just to burn energy, but because exercise is one of the most reliable modulators of anxiety in dogs, as it is in humans. More sniff walks, more exploration, more time doing things that engage their nose and their problem-solving instincts. Puzzle feeders, new routes. The olfactory engagement of a slow walk through unfamiliar territory is genuinely enriching for a dog in a state of low-grade emotional disruption. And if your child is willing, video calls do not register for dogs the way they might for you. The voice through a speaker is a pale shadow of the real person. But a piece of clothing that still carries their scent left in the dog's space is not a pale shadow. It is a real olfactory presence.
It activates the same reward circuits in the brain. It says in the only language that fully reaches a dog, this person still exists. They were recently here. They are still part of the world. There's one more thing worth sitting with. The empty nest is hard. And in the middle of that hardness, there is something quietly extraordinary happening in your house. Your dog is grieving alongside you. Not in the same way, not with the same understanding, but with the same loyalty that has defined this species' relationship with ours for tens of thousands of years. They don't know why the house is quieter. They don't know where the person went or when they're coming back. Only they know that something is missing, that the scent is fading, and that you are still here. And they stay close to you. They follow you from room to room. They sit with you in the evenings in the quiet that used to be full, not because they understand, because they're doing the only thing they know how to do when the people they love are hurting. They stay. That's not nothing. In the middle of a house that feels too empty, that might actually be everything.